Welcome to the Women Leaders Association podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. Be sure to tune in each week to hear an empowering message from the world's top women executives, trailblazers, entrepreneurs, and all-around fierce female leaders. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland, and I will be taking you on a deep dive of each message to equip you with the principles, strategies, and tools you need to start crushing your goals, increasing your impact, creating work-life harmony, and did I mention have more fun? Because when you love what you do it better. The Women Leaders Association is the world's largest women executives association with over 30,000 women in executive and leadership positions who are committed to the development and advancement of women in the corporate arena. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association chapter, would enjoy daily podcasts, or you desire to become a part of the Women's Mastermind group near you, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com. Now let's tune in for this incredible message. Hey, welcome back to the Women Leaders Podcast. I'm so excited Emily's with us today. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I'm excited you're here. So let's talk about it. How did you build this business as the Back Office Betties and your whole superhero blueprint? Like, let's get into it and find out, why did you decide to serve at this level?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So I originally started the business, and I would take any client with a pulse and a wallet. And so I thought, hey, I can answer phones probably better than your mom and pop shops can. These guys aren't doing a good job answering my calls when I'm trying to set up home services. So I started the business as a call center for anyone who would pay. And over time, it got really hard to provide a high level of service. One of the first things I learned is niche. The riches are in the niches. So I asked my team, 3 questions. Who do you guys love working with? Who values us and loves working with us? And who can we scale and grow the company with? I thought for sure they would love the blue collar guys like I did, those guys like out struggling to install garage doors and clean pipes and carpet clean. But the team across the board said it's the attorneys. They value, they actually pay their bill, they really appreciate what we're doing. And so we decided to niche for attorneys and grow the business that way, which is great because we were able to, from that point, come in every day and say, what else can we do for the small law firm owner to help make their lives easier? And we've been able to expand into offering, fractional administrative staffing, like client services reps and paralegals and things of that nature to help supplement the team. And one of the things I've learned is we all have superhero in us. We have our kryptonites, the things that we are not so good at, and we have the things that are our superpowers. And so we really made a huge shift within the company when we started looking at what are everyone's kryptonites and what are everyone's superpowers. And instead of performance managing those kryptonites, they're not going to get better. It's who we are. I am never going to be a detail-oriented person. It's just not going to happen. And so let's lean into that and let's be okay with it and give ourselves grace to not be perfect and put ourselves in a position where 80, to 90% of the work we're doing is within our superpowers and leave the rest to someone who that is their superpower.
Yes. Let me just say, I love the 80-20 rule. I feel like that just gives all of us that breath that we need to be human. I love the 80-20 rule. I function that way in pretty much everything. And my husband is very perfection oriented. And I'm like, 80-20, honey, 80-20.
Yeah, 80-20. I mean, we're not perfect. No one's perfect. And we've got to be nicer to ourselves because I think we're all really hard on ourselves. And that's where the imposter syndrome comes in. And it's like, no, let's just stop pretending, guys. Let's just say, hey, you know what? That's not within my genius area, my zone of genius or my superhero area. So no, I'm going to have to hard pass on that project or that piece of the project.
Yeah. And what have your clients found after working with you and giving up that piece that they thought, I have to have control over this the whole time in order to be successful. And then finally realizing, oh, you know what? When I'm able to function in my zone of genius and delegate this elsewhere, I really can thrive. What has been their kind of takeaway from that?
One client I worked with recently said they're saving about 60% in payroll taxes they had one position that was not performing well, and they replaced it with 2 fractional part-time people who each of them have a unique specialty. And so they're each really good at what they do. what they were trying to do is put one warm body in to do 10 different things. And that the person was set up to fail. And so they just weren't performing well. And so now we've got two fractional part-time people who are incredible at the two things that they do with their roles. And so they say they're saving 60%. They're able to reinvest in marketing. The owner is no longer constantly dodging, putting out fire questions and answering silly questions that the admin team should be able to handle because the people are incredible. I found the same thing for myself. I wasn't able to let go of the rope, so to speak, until I had the right people in. So that's number one is we have got to have the right people in the right seats. And if we can't afford someone who's an A+ rock star, then fractional, like that's our business model. That's what we do. We'll use fractional executive team members. I mean, it is, it's great with the remote workforce that we're able to do that in today's day.
Yeah. And so most of your work, I'm guessing, is, virtually speaking. And so how has that really changed your business and allowing you to serve more people?
So originally, I actually started virtual. And when I first started, this was 11 years ago, it was actually a little bit of an embarrassment. I wanted an office, and some of my competitors had these really fun, great, you could see the culture in the office. I wanted that so bad, but I couldn't afford it. By the time I could afford it, the team didn't want it. And we had already built a remote company so well, and it runs so well. We've created ways to connect and have team building. So we've been a remote company from day one. And it was like COVID hit and it was like, oh, just another day in the office for us, no big change.
Fun.
Yeah. And so I think one of the big challenges that a lot of companies face is they think that it's a sacrifice on culture, but you have to be a little more intentional and put a little more effort in. And I think we've done a good job of that.
Yeah, I think that's so important for, anybody who's listening right now who thinks that in order to be successful, it has to look a certain way. Because, I mean, even here, we've mentioned your superhero blueprint, and we'll get more into that. But there's so much talk of blueprints and roadmaps and, all these things. But at the end of the day, you still have to be you and deliver in your excellence and meet your needs. And if that means working from home, then that's what you need to do for yourself, because that's where you'll be able to feel free enough to really give what you're able to give. And, I just know that there's people listening right now that are thinking like, man, I really wanted to go out on my own or start something new, but that same thing you were going through of, but it needs to look this way. And that's just not true.
Yeah, and there is a piece of faking it till you make it. So there is that piece of I wanted the branding to look good. I wanted the website to look good. So we did have that outward presentation, but we have to have an office? No, it was just kind of a chip I carried on my shoulder that I probably never even needed to carry.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. So let's talk about your superhero blueprint. How did you come up with that?
I just kind of evolved over time as I started out looking at, what are the things I'm good at? What do I like doing? What are the things I'm bad at? What are the things I hate doing? And I kind of made that list, and we went through that process with our whole team. And it's evolved because I really am a big believer in positive language. And so instead of just this is what we're good at and what we love, and we kind of created that list. It was a little boring, so I was like, let's spice it up. I was like, you know what, let's look at it as our kryptonites and our superpowers, and just make it more fun. I like, obviously you can tell in our branding, we like things to be fun, and just lighthearted. So that's kind of how it evolved into the superheroes, and of course, and I'm like, we need to drop some avatars for the superheroes. Kind of got crazy from there.
I love it. I love it. So what are the things that you focus on within the superhero blueprint?
The biggest things are staying within your superpowers. So, if it's connecting, if it's talking to people, then that's what I want you to do. I want you talking to people. I want you making those connections, creating rapport and customer service. So really, how can we make sure that you're in the right position for what your superhero blueprint looks like? And then how can we offload some of those kryptonites? And sometimes, when we first started this, there are some people who no longer had a place. I was one who no longer had a place. One of the roles that I had was in finance doing some of the accounting, and I have no business, doing that kind of stuff. I don't have a good attention to detail. And so I was called out and said, Emily, you really can't keep this position. Thankfully, there was another position for me in the company, but when we first did this, we did have to move some people and we had to make some adjustments. I had one team member. I was really, really close to just snapping and firing. I was not happy with her performance. I moved her into a new role and she has excelled beyond an 11-year history, beyond anyone in the 11 years that's been here in that role. And it was like just putting her in the right spot so that she could take her superhero powers and just fly with them. And she's been incredible. And I don't have to worry about that team anymore because it's all under control.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so important too, is my dogs agree, is to be able to come alongside a business like yours and be like, look, this is where our team is. This is what we have. We know something's up. We can't quite put our finger on it, but we know that we have gifts and talents and the staff is wildly, creative and all these things. However, something's not quite right. And so do you take them through like a questionnaire? Like, how do you get them to realize what their individual team members' superheroes powers are?
So I recommend to our clients that they use a program like Culture Index or Active Index. Those are the personality profiles that will tell you if the person is, strategic, futuristic thinker, or if they are more of a historical. They rely on their knowledge base from past history. They're really good at executing on tasks. It'll tell social versus process oriented. The other thing it tells you is whether someone is quick paced or whether they're more methodical and they like to do things like 1, 2, 3, follow the checklist every time, detail oriented versus more non-conforming and free thinking. So we use those kind of products within our company for our team. And so I recommend to clients, like if you want an evaluation of your whole team, like call up Culture Index, call up Active Index and get an evaluation on your team. So the way we'll use it is to help match. And so if we are matching a paralegal to work part-time with the law firm, we'll make sure it's a good fit. And then, but if they want a full evaluation, you can sign up with those products and use them. I swear by them. I think they've completely changed my company.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what's been, do you feel, your biggest takeaway in the past 11 years and seeing how much cultures have changed and industries have changed and business practices have changed? What's been your biggest takeaway of kind of an undercurrent that's remained the same?
I think always be changing. I always say ABC. That was one of our first, we call them Bettyisms, core values was ABC, always be changing. And that the whole idea behind that is you can never learn enough. You can never stop evolving or innovating. If we're not constantly shifting and adjusting, then we're going to be left behind. And we're seeing that right now with AI. It's going to make a big impact in the call center industry, and we've got to get ahead of it, or we could end up like Blockbuster. So that's been a huge challenge, is especially for me, for tech, is knowing where to shift and how to get ahead of things. And then the one consistent thing is always be true to yourself. Like even with the branding and everything, in the beginning, it was, some might have thought too feminine, too cheeky, too silly in a very professional world. And I said, this is who I am, and I'm going to lean into that. And I'm never going to show up not who I am. And the company and the brand are a reflection of me. And so just staying authentic to who I am. And it really, you can feel it through the team. And you can tell with our core values, like we're just kind of in sync. We're all a vibe. And, we like to have fun, but we take what we do seriously as well.
I love that. I love that. And what would be like one last piece of advice that you would give to the person listening right now who I'm gonna pause and I'm gonna shut the door. I mean, never fail, Amazon shows up. We're right here in it, and then the Amazon man shows up. Anyway, what would be one last piece of advice that you would give to the woman listening right now who is seeking kind of the next step for her into finding more clarity and discovering her superpowers and how to best lead in her industry and things such as that?
Um, I would say just start with a sheet of paper and writing down the things that you love doing. What are the things that you're amazing at that, if you have your whole department or team, like what are the things that you are excelling above everybody else at? Really look at that and look at the things you maybe don't like doing or the things that you struggle with and you're not consistent in the results and the things that you just downright hate doing. And make that list. And then what I did is I started working backwards, starting with the things that I hate doing. What one or two things can I get off my plate right now and who can I delegate that out to? And this works in your personal life too.
Yeah.
For me, house cleaning. Another one is even paying my personal bills. I have my assistant do that. Because keeping track of the calendar and everything, all those details, it's a lot for me. So I have her help me with that. And so you just look at those things of like, where am I struggling? And just start one or two. What can I get off right now? And eventually you'll get to a place where you're really working within your superpowers, again, 80% of the time, and you're going to be a really happy person.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Emily, thank you so much for this conversation. I think it's so important for women, especially that are on the rise, that are, leaders, to realize it is okay to say, wait a second, this might not be my area of expertise. I really need to reach out and get some help with ABC, right? And I think that in itself, that acknowledgement in itself is a superpower. And so ladies, if you're listening and you were like me and you felt like, oh, I gotta do it all, you don't. And that is okay. That is okay. Emily, thank you so much. How can people connect with you?
I can be found at backofficebetties.com or Emily at backofficebetties.com.
Awesome. We love it. Thank you so much, Emily. And if you are looking for more inspirational stories just like this, be sure to visit womenleaderspodcast.com. Thanks for now. Bye.